Catching up with Sarah and Ginny, fueled by laughter and insights aplenty. Curiosity, connection, and learning that sticks. Real talk, real lives with practical tips. Welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Come on in.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. And we are absolutely thrilled to introduce Omar. So welcome to you, Omar. And can I just hand over to you for you to say, like, who you are, what you do, where you come from, all of that shebang?
Oh, not a complex question, I guess, then, Ginny. Well, the easy part is my name. My name's Omar Mentesh. What do I do? That's really the hard question. I have an organisation called Anna Branch Plus. It works within the criminal justice space. So I go into prisons, I go into communities, and I support people primarily impacted by the criminal justice system. And I do this through workshops and programs that we have, through mentoring and through opportunities to find education, employment or training. And I bring in a lot of resource around me. So it's not just me on my own. I bring a great team and a great resource, and a lot of it, and I'm great being on this podcast because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of overlap within the neurodiversity, within a lot of trauma that people are dealing with, and there's a lot of overlap, especially within my own personal experiences. I'm an ex-prisoner, served over 7.5 years in prison. Started that when I was very young, and obviously I don't want to start the podcast, give you the whole podcast away right now, but I have lived experience. I came out in 2017, changed my life, and it's been a whirlwind since then, and it's been a great experience, and yeah.
Wonderful. And Omar, I met you at a conference recently, and your presentation, which I thought was incredible, was called Rewriting the Sentence.
Yeah.
And that absolutely so powerful. So that's why I was like, Ginny, we've got to get you onto the podcast. You've got to hear what the things that you have to say. Wonderful, Omar. Thank you for that. In terms of kind of all of the experiences that you've had, is there a particular wow moment that you want to share with us?
Oh, is there? Yeah.
That's not Amazon parcels.
No,
that's not
it's
your
not
wow moment.
Amazon parcels. Just to give it the context, I work from home. My partner's a teacher. I'm always dealing with Amazon parcels, and that's sometimes a wow moment when I'm opening up thinking, how did we afford this? But anyway, besides that, well, it's not me. She earns more than me. So how does she afford that? But what I would say is, what's the wow moment? Yesterday, wow moment. Absolutely, I attended Brixton Prison for an EWS, so it's Education, Work and Skills Awards for neurodiverse prisoners, neurodiverse men. And it was just, walking back into prison is always a wow moment. It's surreal for sure. But going back into that space specifically yesterday was a wow moment. But I think another wow moment, I guess it's the first time I picked up a book in prison. I always refer back to that. And I think that is the big wow. That's like the big bang in my life that was just like opened things up. And yeah, that was cool.
Go on, what was the book? Because I remember you telling this story, Omar.
Well, I have it here. Actually, I have it here. I have a copy of it. It's The Eagle as Lang Did by Jack Higgins. Read it when I was 15. Read half of it, understood even less. But what I understood is what people read, and it allowed me to escape. And it was such. And you know what made me pick it up? One, it was the only book in my cell. Secondly, it was the image. It was like, I want to be in that scene. Yeah. It was like, for a kid, it was like, didn't have a television in my cell, and I wanted to be in that scene, in that thing. I wanted to be in that action. I wanted to escape from that boring cell. And I just picked it up and I loved it. And I thought, wow, I escaped and I was in a different place for that short period of time. So that was cool. And yeah.
And Omar, I think that's so powerful because we both, when we train and in the work that we do, one of the things we talk about is the power of stories, the power of books, all kinds of books. And actually, that's the biggest thing. It's not just about academically, going somewhere, learning something. It's actually about being able to escape. And just, that's what everyone needs to know. That's what books can do, can give you that space to escape to. I love that.
100%. And I was actually speaking to the staff yesterday, actually, with people from the Shannon Trust. So, the Shannon Trust is one, if I was going to say two organizations that I love on planet Earth, it's Chapter 1 and Shannon Trust. So Chapter 1 supports young, early readers, young people in school to read. And Shannon Trust goes into prisons and teaches people how to read through their mentors, through their toe-by-toe mentors. So I was speaking to her yesterday, and I'm doing a lot of work in the space around virtual reality, mixed reality, how that can support people with mental health. And I really I understood that actually a book is just an analog version of virtual reality. It's as simple as that. and it's a safe space. And virtual reality is safe. It's being designed for you.
Mm.
There's oversight. There's an off button. There's an on button. You get to escape into a space
Yeah.
that's you're not usually, and the cultural and social capital. That's what I got from it. It was, if I was going to say anything, it was cultural capital and social capital. And the social capital come from being able to communicate properly,
Yep.
and the cultural capital, no, actually, I was a big fish in a small pond, and actually, there's a bigger world out there. And yeah,
I love
Wow.
that, Omar. Wonderful.
thank you.
My mind is blown, and it's quite interesting because you're saying about toe by toe. So in your experience, is that used quite a lot in prisons as an effective tool?
Massive. It's used and it's everywhere, but it's
Mm.
undervalued, underappreciated, definitely underfunded, and if honestly, man, if I wanted to solve half of the problems in society right now, I would always revert back to reading, education, knowledge,
Mm.
insight.
Yep.
So what they do in their toe-by-toe mentors are prisoners. They're trained by the Shannon Trust. Then they go into prisoners. They go into cells. So they're actual prisoners. They're peer mentors, and they go in there and teach people how to read. I think the average general population in the UK has a reading age of 11 or below. I think it's like 60% of the general population has a reading level of 11 or below. In prison, it's absolutely catastrophically even worse than that. I would say they've got a reading level of maybe a 5 to an 8-year-old, the average prisoner in prison. And imagine not being
Yeah.
able to read, but in a system that is bureaucratic, that everything revolves around paperwork,
Yep.
being able to
And
read
print.
it.
And print is everywhere. Print's everywhere.
Everywhere.
So you're
Oh.
constantly have that kind of a thing of like, I can't access that. I'm not able to do that.
I'm too
Yeah.
embarrassed to even ask. I'm too embarrassed.
Yes.
I'm too
Yeah.
embarrassed. And I think that's what, especially, and that's what really hit me. There was a few points, actually. And please tell Ginny, I know you have to rein me in if I go off on one.
She reins me in. It's
I
fine.
know, honestly. But there were so many examples I can give, but there's really one actually that really stands out to me because it showed my own biases. So I walked onto, I'm in HMP High Point. High Point is a prison primarily for London prisoners, but it's in Suffolk. So I'm in Suffolk. I spent about 3 years in this prison, and I walked onto one of the landings, and there's a guy standing at his doorway. And I just looked at him and I let my bias take over. His bald head, Millwall tattoos, and I thought, I ain't gonna like this guy. I don't like him. Just my own stupidity, and I regret that actually. So for about a week, he's there standing outside his door, just looking up and down, lost. And then one day, I can't even remember how we got to chatting, but we got to chatting. And anyway, he's a human being. He's a fucking lovely guy. Sorry for swearing. Beep. He's a lovely guy, but he couldn't read. And he said to me, Omar, can you read this letter from my kid? The kid was about 40 years old. And I could see the absolute shame in him, the absolute shame that he had in having to ask another human being how to read. And I explained to him, look, get down there, get down the library, man. The Shannon Trust is down there. They got the 6-book challenge. I said, look, I'm reading this book, Stephen Lever. I said, I've read every Stephen Lever book there is. It's like Dan Spider Shepherd. It's proper action escapism, but I loved it. And I said, look, read it. I said, you'll really enjoy it. And anyway, for about a year, he was down there learning. He learned how to read. He was reading the books. And he finished his first Stephen Lever. It's not an easy book. It's not like a quick read. Anyway, he finished it. Then he was starting, obviously, being able to read letters from his kids. And it was just massive. It was really massive. That day I stood out to him because I see the transformation. But what I would say, why it was really powerful, because he was an IPP prisoner. And IPP prisoners are indeterminate public protection orders that really is really draconian. And it came out about 15 years ago, I think, or even longer. And basically giving people life sentences for that crimes that warrant a life sentence. So he served about 14 years, but really was given 18 months. So he literally was on the cusp of despair. And what I found really powerful is that at the same time in that year, he learned how to read and communicate properly and understand, is the year that he got released. Because after that year, he went up for parole. And I don't know whether him being able to communicate correctly, the strength from reading, the strength from being able to read a letter from his children and have the power that comes from him being a father. I'm thinking, shit, I've got apologies, please. I know, apologies. I've got hair in my mouth.
But yeah, it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, apologies.
No, it's fine. But it's true. It is that the power it gives and the importance of the power it gives. And I think that after hearing you speak, actually, one of the big things that I've reflected on is I'm doing a lot of stuff currently, like looking into the trauma of not being taught to read. Because a lot of the work, my PhD was focused on teaching children within special education to read. And a lot of the time, the children, this is like 16 years ago, it wasn't necessarily deemed that through a phonics, through some of these mainstream approaches, weren't necessarily appropriate. And it's that we're not going to do it. They can't do it. And it's the trauma that so many young people have felt through just not being taught. People have tried, but haven't quite got it, or it's been, for whatever reason, it's not helped and it hasn't been successful. And then those barriers have come down. Can't do it. I'm not going to try.
And I think it's really interesting, the different approaches, you know, the toe by toe, and the fact that it's peer to peer. You know, it's that, I think that must be really powerful, isn't it, Omar? The fact that it is peer to peer.
I think it reduces that shame, absolutely 100%.
Yes.
It reduces that shame. One,
amazing.
like, honestly, what I have to say, bringing it back to the wow moment from yesterday, the whole audience, there was 52 men in there, 52 prisoners. I hate to even call them prisoners, 52 men. And not one of them was not standing up, clapping for each other and cheering for each other. Like, not one of them. And I mean, and they had their families in the audience as well, some of their families.
Wow.
And it was like, so the support is there. And this is like the paradox that prison has. So prison is the worst place in the world and no one should ever go there. But what I would say is that, and I can categorically say this, the best of humanity I've seen in prison, the best of humanity. And I've been in many walks of life. I've been in many places in my life. But the best of humanity, and that's what I think keeps people locked into it. Like what you're both touching on there, actually, in neurodiversity, because I had an accident when I was 5 years old, and I should have touched on that at the beginning. I fell on the train track when I was 5 years old, severely electrocuted, couldn't speak properly for years, needed skin bandages. School was obsolete from 5 to 8. That coincided with the breakup of my family. And I was bunking off school from 9. I remember bunking off school from junior school, climbing over the back gate wall and just running off, hanging around building sites. And then but I remember the last day in secondary school. So I went to secondary school, I think it was about 6 months in there. And I remember the last day, but here's the irony. I loved school. I loved the classroom. It's not that I didn't like it. I loved the subjects, and I still love learning. It's just I couldn't cross over the threshold. There was a physical barrier, something physical, and it was embarrassment. You both touched on that, because I knew, it's not like I knew that everyone was ahead of me. And I knew that kids can be cruel, you know, and I knew that I would make them mock off. And I knew any time subjects come about smoking or crime, everyone would point at me in the classroom and be like, oh, you know, make jokes. And it was just, I didn't feel like I belonged there. And it was really difficult. So I ran away. And one thing, you know, from the side, sorry, is that where did I run to? The majority of the time I bunked off school and was a British Museum. I ran for
Omar,
education.
I've said this so many times, and one of the things you said was, what's the one thing that someone could have asked to find out how to get to you when you were?
I'd be an archaeologist.
Yeah.
I would have loved to be 100%. If someone had come to me, and I still do, my partner, she comes in, I fall asleep sometimes on the sofa, and there'll be a documentary on about, you know, megalithic sites and stuff like that. And I'm interested in it. I just like it. And I've always liked it as a kid. I watched every National Geographic documentary, you know, and I liked it as a kid, and I loved Time Team. I loved it. I watched every episode of Time Team. If someone had come up to me at the height of my criminality and said to me, Omar, here's a shovel, you ain't going to be paid, we're going to feed you, we'll keep you bloody hydrated, we'll put a roof over your head, but you can dig in the ground as much as you like, and you can find. I would have done it. I would have given it all up. 100% I would have. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you were then, it was that thing around, you know, where did you go when you bunked off school? And you said, if only someone had asked, I used to go to the British Museum.
100%.
And it's like, oh my goodness, he's there not at school, but everyone just treats it as, you know.
I'm running around doing and honestly, and I remember.
And actually, you were at the British Museum learning.
And one of the vivid memories that I have is seeing Pete Man. I think it's Pete Man. It's like the.
Oh,
the guy
yes, I know.
Yeah. And this was in the 90s. I remember when you were getting the pardon? In the marsh, he was found in a bog. Bogman.
Bogman.
Yes.
Bogman, that's it. Bogman. Bogman, not Pete Man, Bogman. And actually, when I used to, oh my God, it was absolutely crazy. And what I found, it was really sad actually, because, you know, if I was thinking back to another kid in that situation, I used to look at all of the other kids on the trips and be envious of them. You know, thinking, they're all doing this. They've all got their packed lunches. They've all got their stuff. And I was just there. I loved it. And I would go around to everywhere looking at it all and just obsess with it and just spend hours and hours and waiting for like 3 o'clock to come. So I'd hang around West End. At that time, my mum lived in Holborn. So British Museum was literally 2 streets away. We lived on Gilbert Place. So it was literally on the other side of the building where we were. The British Museum was there. So I would just try and hang around there until 3:30 come. But then a year after that, Mum, you know, anyway.
But it's, you know, it's that those insights. If only they'd have spoken to you. If only they'd asked.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Omar.
Yeah, and you know, you were like keeping your educational bucket full yourself.
Yeah.
You were finding those opportunities yourself, which is phenomenal. And it, it's about kind of, if someone had asked, if someone had
Yeah.
made that connection, and we feel so strongly about this, to Sarah and I, and, talking
Yeah.
about the spider's web of trust. Actually, if you ask an individual a question and then what they say back, you
Yeah.
remember, then those connections grow, and then you get that long-term connection. So, but absolutely fascinating, Omar. So if we move on then to, if
Please.
send were a song, then what would it be and why?
It's a good question, actually. If Sem was a song, well, look, there's an artist that I know, a rapper who's got ADHD, and he makes a lot of songs around ADHD. So I think I'd pick him.
Yeah.
He's got it and he sings about it. So I think that would be a natural thing. He's called Joyner Lucas, yeah, and I think he's got a song called ADHD. The song is ADHD. He's a brilliant artist. Obviously, there's some profanity in some of his songs, some of his lyrics, but he's a brilliant artist, most creative. Really highlights his challenges with it, which is obviously something that I can relate with. So I
Yes.
think that would be it. I think Joyner Lucas
Yes.
with ADHD. But then I think, what else would there be, actually? Because for me, the biggest misconception I get is people say, like, oh, it's a superpower and it's not like, and it definitely ain't for me. It isn't. Like,
No.
don't get me wrong, I can work around it and I know how to work with
Yeah.
it. And the problem is, and the challenge that we spoke about there
Yeah.
previously, at what I spoke about, or what we spoke about at the conference is that I can't distinguish between where the trauma
Yeah.
starts and ends and where the neurodiversity starts and ends. To
Yeah.
me, there's such an overlap
Yeah.
that I find it's easy just to revert to ADHD because everyone's
Yeah.
got that, but not everyone's got
Yeah.
my trauma. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
And trauma, and also it depends on the different labels that are popular or a bit more kind of trendy as well. Sometimes
Exactly.
about the things that you talk about. I love that though with the rapper that raps, because I'm often asked, my son, has got a label of this or has got ADHD or how do I help them to understand it? And you have to you maybe say a book. If your thing is around literacy, sometimes you're not going to want a book. And
Yeah.
actually, a song, fabulous. I
Yeah.
like rap, so that's
Yeah, okay,
great.
you've got to check him out, Joyner Lucas ADHD, because
Yeah,
he
I'll have
promotes
a
a
look.
lot of that. He's a big advocate as well. Like I think every time you hear him talking about it,
I'll have a
and
look,
yeah, it's obviously, it's brilliant. His frustrations with it, it's great. I think it's great insight. It's brilliant.
And
It's
that's the whole
awesome.
thing as well. It's about the frustrations with it as well.
Yeah,
And I mean, different children, when you speak to them, it's that whole importance of getting their view, actually. And I don't think we do it enough. And maybe actually, I do a lot of work with using, I don't know if you saw that when I spoke, Omar, with Suno. So making songs, getting songs, and the kids writing
yes,
songs and you
yeah,
writing
yeah, yeah, yeah.
songs, and you can write it about anything, and just understanding the power of those different mediums. Might be a book, might be a song, might be a film, might be a cartoon. You might really like your drawings. You might be a great sculptor. You might want to make
Yeah.
things out of stuff. Yeah. What?
And honestly, and what's screaming and I remember you said it, is that connection before correction. You've got to connect, and then and you've got to be authentic. And I think meet them not at their level, what they're interested in. I love gamification. I love the thing that you're using tools that they're familiar with,
Yeah.
that they're used to, and meeting them with their medium and letting them explore that. And I think the best way, because so I'm delivering a cultural capital program called Where I Fit. We're delivering it to young justice impacted care leavers, some of the most vulnerable,
Yeah.
groups within the country. And this whole program is taking them into spaces that they might not ordinarily have been into,
Yeah.
but don't feel like they belong in there. So British Library, we've got Sir John Soanes on board. We've got
Fabulous.
Financial Times. We've got
Wonderful.
some corporates, and we've got Queen's Mary University who's going to open their doors for them.
Wonderful.
And I'll give you an insight into, and it's being funded more from some of our corporate partners and the MOJ, actually. So it's absolutely awesome who we've got them supporting us. And so
Brilliant.
what I would say, it is, so when we go into John Soanes, have you ever heard of William Hogarth? William
Yeah.
Hogarth is a great British
Yeah.
artist, and he created a painting called Rake's Progress. I'm not going to act like I've known about it for about 3 months, so I'm not the biggest expert.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so Rake's Progress details this guy, William Rakewell, Samuel Rakewell, I can't remember which one it is, but it's Rakewell, Mr. Rakewell. Or Mr. Rakewell coming to a load of cash, and it shows how he just, destroyed his life. and
Yeah.
just this, I think the 7 paintings that details, you know, he's chased for fame, he chased for obviously fortune and lust and whatnot, and it details him going into prison. And I was thinking, actually, these decisions and consequences, some of our young people are going through the same decisions and the
Yep.
same consequences,
Yep.
and how to connect them with an 18th century painting. So this
And
guy,
I love that. I love
brilliant,
that. How wonderful. And it is, again, another medium, isn't it, to explore
100%,
and to see, because it's all about expression.
yeah.
And actually, how do they express themselves?
And put him under a lens. Let's not, I don't want, you've been under a lens, put him under a lens. Why did he
Yes.
make them mistakes? Why did he do
Yes.
that? Because
Yeah.
within figuring out what he
Yeah.
done, that you might find out why you make these decisions. And I think
Yeah.
for one, they're analysing someone else. It's their time now to look at someone else and analyse, why did he mess up? Why did he end up
Yeah.
in the debtor's jail? You
Yeah.
know, it's
What
that's
happened there?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
I love the National Portrait Gallery. So I just used to love, I don't know why, Tudor paintings, massive Tudor paintings. I remember being 11 and just going and just being fascinated by them, absolutely amazed. But that's, you know, I love
Yeah,
that
yeah,
about going to a space that you wouldn't normally, you know, feel comfortable, and it wouldn't be necessarily somewhere that, you know, that you would feel you belong. I think I love that. That's
yeah.
wonderful. Right.
Thank you.
Omar, moving on to the final
Please.
kind of question there, thinking about if you were going to talk about a book, and again, I mean, you mentioned one already, which I'm going to put on the book list, but a book that you want to just share. It could be anything from any part of your life, really.
I've got another one. Got it
Oh,
here.
yes.
Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. It's there's many books, and I'm sure if you ask me tomorrow, I might pick up another one. But I always refer back to this. So
Yep.
if anyone's never heard of Viktor Frankl is one of the most amazing human beings to ever live. He was a Holocaust survivor, and he was in the Holocaust in the concentration camps. His family were annihilated. He was a psychologist, but you know, his whole theory is that, you know, humans in essence are always trying to find meaning, no matter where they are. And he found meaning even being in that place. And there's a lot to it. I'm not going to obviously recite the whole book, but it's, for me, is that when I was reading this, 'cause I read it twice. I read it the first time I done my big sentence, and it was just, I was interested in World War II, and it's just another book.
Yeah.
It was just another book, and I didn't, it was no more, no less. But then the second time I went back into prison, I picked it up and I read it, and it actually, and because I was reading about the concentration, I was reading concentration, big, massive books, and I was really interested in it. And then I read this, and then it really hit me, and I thought, actually, because I was in my 30s then, I'm thinking, how is it that if he can find meaning in that place, in that place there, how can't I find meaning here? And at that time then, and it wasn't like I had that thought, but I think that was the process going through my head. It's not like, Omar, boom, you read this, I had an epiphany. But I was a foreign national rep at that time, and I was supporting my peers. Again, touching what you were saying on Ginny a minute ago, you know, I was a peer mentor for 3 years, 8 months. I was a foreign national rep, BME rep, Black Minority and Ethnic rep. I was a peer support worker in the educational class, and just on the wing, just, you know, just supporting people anyway. But and so I thought, actually, there is, before everyone was just, could he be a good getaway driver for me? Could he be a buyer for me? Could he be something like that? Two, actually, he's a human being. He's got a backstory. So when I was a foreign national rep, I used to have to hear people's journey, how they got here, whether from another country or their life journey. And that's how I was able to trace my birth journey back to when I was 5 years old, and actually when I had an accident and the steps. So it has allowed me, by supporting them, I was able to look at myself. So that day, yeah, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, I think it's, I had some quotes and I've had them here, but I had them on the thing. So I was going to use some quotes, and I can't. I don't know. I
No,
won't
it's what?
try it because I'll lose it. But it powerful. And always, every time I go into prisons, I always talk about this, especially with the guys. You know, and it's not, as you can see, it's not a big book. And I've got, actually, there's some here, some quotes in here. But I can. There was something here actually. Where was it? I don't want to sit here trying to find quotes. 1 second. I've got them saved because I'm actually doing a documentary around reading. Actually, I can't say much more
Are
around it.
you?
I
Oh, how
am.
interesting.
I am,
Yeah, go on.
it's got, it really is actually. So anyway, doing a documentary around the power, transformation of power
Yeah.
of reading. It's got a very famous person in it, very famous person in it. One of the most famous people in the world is on it. And I can't say no more than it, but she is absolutely awesome. But should be aired in September, and I've been told no matter what, I can't say anything about it. But I can say that I'm doing a
I
documentary.
mean, that's a nightmare, Omar.
And
How you can manage
for
that?
me
I
too.
can't.
It's just that, and oh my God, it's killing me. It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. But it's really great because what I've been able to do with that is go into places and be filmed, recording in prisons, recording in
Brilliant.
studios, recording even with my son, reading with him, which is beautiful, which is powerful. And what's great is that my son, who's 7 years old, he's a little English mini champion in his school. So he goes into the nursery teaching the other children how to read. And I thought, how brilliant. That's it.
Oh,
That's my wow moment. There you go, Sarah, Dr. Sarah.
There you go.
That's my wow
Yeah,
moment.
that's your wow moment. But
Yeah.
I mean, that powerful, the transformation that you can, reading has got that power, and I think the National Year of Reading now, so it's brilliant. There's so
Exactly.
much happening. Oh my goodness, I'm keen to see the documentary, and I have to
yes.
say as well, yeah, my nickname Omar is Leaky Teapot because you
Oh,
can't tell me anything. It
okay, yeah.
literally just falls out the bottom of it. So yeah,
Okay,
don't.
okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I won't bring you on the job then.
No. Oh, and Omar,
What I
thank you.
what I
No,
love
thanks.
is, we've touched throughout the podcast about peer to peer, and then hearing that your son is doing the same
Yeah.
in school.
It's
It
absolutely
just
awesome.
is just
So cool.
wonderful, isn't it? That
Mm.
he's modeling what you've done before. And I also love that you've
Yeah.
also woven through this about rereading books. And we are such an
Yeah.
advocate for
Yeah.
rereading books. You read a book
Yeah,
and
oh
then
man.
you
Yeah.
reread it, and you kind of absorb it in a different way often. So just it's been amazing speaking with
Oh,
you,
No, it's
Omar.
been an
Omar,
absolute pleasure.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been
Just
an absolute pleasure. It's
just absolutely brilliant. And we can't wait for September to
can't wait for
find
September.
out,
Yeah.
to
Yeah, no,
find out how this.
honestly, yeah, and anything, I'm not gonna say anything. It feels like I just really I love what you guys are doing, and I would love to anything I can do to support what you're doing. And I would just, yeah, I just think it's so awesome, and I'm so glad we met at that conference.
I know.
Dr. Sarah.
It was just, I sat there and I was like, wow, everyone needs to know. I have
Yes.
mentioned your name to a few other people, Omar, I have to say.
Yeah, and
A few
and
other conference people and whatever, yeah. Get
tell them,
you out there.
and the Branch Plus, my company is always looking for contracts. Anyone out there is looking for contracts. We're doing great work. We're doing great support. So if anyone wants to fund our work, it'd be awesome. We'd be really grateful. Great, really, honestly,
Wonderful.
really grateful.
Thank you so much. It has been.
Thank you, Ginny.
It's just been wonderful listening to your whole story, and the impact. It's all about impact. It's all about connection, and the impact we can make with one another. So, as we always say at the end of every podcast, Sarah, it's always a pleasure.
Never a chore. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you
so
so
much.
guys. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful day.
Thanks for joining us this time on Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny.
Always a pleasure and never a chore.